Good morning, Cindy here, and today I am in Georgetown, Texas at a young homeowner's home, and he has asked me for some tips on how he can improve the look of his front garden bed. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. I have helped him pick out some new plants. We have some skullcap, we have some lantana, we're going to move his rock rose to a better location. We've picked out things that can take the full sun and our very challenging soil conditions, and we are going to move some things into better situations. We're going to check out his water system. He does have drip irrigation, but he's feeling like maybe it's not up to par right now. And we're going to put in some new metal edging to help keep the grass out of his garden. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so on further investigation, we have dug around and we have found his drip irrigation, and it's working well. We've got a nice drip every 12 inches, and so things should get well watered in here. So step one, water is handled. Let's move on to step two. So we're trying to dig a hole here in Georgetown, and we in about 5 inches you hit rock, limestone. So we're going to get out the rock bar. There, that's what I use. Look at that. No plant can make it in there. So here in Georgetown, they have, not only do they have limestone, but they have this really, really dense clay soil. It is just crazy, and I was able to get it out with the rock bar, but it would be really hard for a plant to grow in this. So the more you can get out, the better. And then what we're going to do, so come a little closer here and look down in this hole. We've dug a hole twice the size of our root ball, and we've cleaned it out as much as we can. And then we're going to put something in it called expanded shale. And this aerates the soil, and this will help increase water retention. I've talked about this many times, but these are little bits of shale that have been put into a really hot kiln, and they expand like popcorn, and they fill with holes, air holes, and you put that down about a cup in each hole, and it really does improve the air circulation for the plant. And then we will put this over here. This is the native soil. This is not too bad. It is kind of the builder grade soil that the builders put in, but we are going to put in some compost. We're going to mix some compost in with this before we put it back in the hole, and that will get the plant off to a really good start. One more thing we're going to put in to get these plants off to a really good start. This soil is fairly dead. He has put a good layer of mulch on top of this soil several years ago, and this mulch is decomposing and it is improving the soil. But we want to help improve the soil to a much deeper level, so we are going to use Medina's horticulture molasses. So this is a very mild, natural, organic fertilizer, the horticulture molasses. This increases the microbials in the soil, and it causes roots to immediately be stimulated and grow stronger and bigger, and it helps it transition into its new home much more quickly. All right, so let's get started. Looking down in the hole, you can see that I have a nice cup of shale down here. I've tried to get out as much of this terrible clay as I can, It's a nice big hole, and when the plant's roots get strong enough, they can burrow through pretty much anything. And now I have this native soil that we took out of the hole, and I'm going to put half soil and half compost, and I'm going to just mix it right in the hole. And this is a much better start for this plant. Now we are also using a native Texas plant, which already doesn't have a problem with difficult soil. So now we're going to try to take this rock rose very carefully out. Okay. And then maybe okay, I think that's good. So the next thing we want to do is we want to fill the hole with water for two reasons. The first reason is to make sure we have good drainage. And I'm going to fill this all the way up to the top, and I'm going to wait a little while. And if it doesn't drain, then we know we don't have good drainage, and we will poke it some more with the rock bar until we break up the limestone and the clay down below. The other reason is you never want to plant a new plant in a dry hole. So you want to make sure that this is nice and moist before you put a new plant in here. So this is a 2-gallon bucket, so I'm going to put in about 2 ounces, which is a large jiggerful. 1, 2. Would you agree that was a large jiggerful? Super large. Okay. And then just take a stick or whatever you've got and stir it around. Okay. And come over here and you can see that our hole is draining nicely, so we don't have a problem with drainage. So we can put the plant in now. Okay, so we're going to spread his roots out. Okay, he wants to be nice and spread out. And then we'll also take a look at the plant and see how we like the way that it's facing. So how do we like that? That I can't really see. So you like that? Okay, we'll press it in, and many of you might be saying, well, what happened to the root ball? What happened to the ball of dirt? Well, we weren't able to get the ball of dirt out, but that's fine. This is a really tough plant, and it will do fine. As long as we quickly put it into new soil, the plant will survive. Okay, so I'm going to backfill with the old native soil we got out of the hole. And we want to really pack it down tight so that it doesn't wobble. We also want to plant all of your plants, you want to plant them fairly high. So if you plant them low, they won't live. If you plant them high, they will survive. There's a poem in there somewhere. Okay. And I'm going to keep pulling the plant up. We want see, there's some of his limbs down here. You don't want to plant their limbs. Okay, our final step, we're going to add some of this really great molasses root stimulator fertilizer to give it a good start. I'm going to go ahead and put half of this mix on this plant, and she will take off. And then the final thing, I did say that was final, but this really is final. You'll add mulch around the base. Now this isn't going to stand up really well, so we definitely are going to stake it. Okay, so we had 3 Nellie Stevens hollies, 1, 2, and there was 1 right here. So we just took it out, and it's, can you pan over there? And it's laying there in the driveway. And we're going to take a risk worth taking. Instead of going and buying a new one, we're going to try to see if we can get that one to live. So we're going to quickly dig a hole right in between here. So we're going to make a really deep hole, twice the size of the root ball. We're going to do this quickly because we want to get those roots in the ground as soon as possible. We're going to make sure there are no rocks or clay down here. And we also discovered a pretty big ant problem. So we're treating for ants and we're fixing up this hole. All right. Whoops, that's kind of we have dug a nice big hole. We have filled a trash bag full of limestone rock and these really, really hard clods. This was that builder soil that they bring you when you buy a new house. And so we do have some limestone rock and lots of ants. Now we are filling the hole with water to make sure that we have good drainage. And like I said earlier, you never want to plant a new plant in a dry hole. Okay, so it looks like it's draining well. The water's going down pretty quickly. And we will put in our shale. This is to improve the aeration. I'm going to put a cup of this down at the bottom. And then I'm going to take the native soil that we took out of the hole, add half compost, half native soil, put that back in, and a nice bucket full of molasses water. Okay. Get more compost. We're giving the roots a good start with some molasses water. We're adding some more compost because I have some roots that are still showing. I think it's going to make it. 50-50 chance that it'll make it. If not, then you'll have to get another one. Okay. All right, now let's get back and look. Okay, so we have completed the project. We've moved some things that were here to new locations, better locations, and I'm going to get up close in a minute and show you where we put them. We had two problems. We had a really big ant infestation, so we took care of that. We located all of the drip irrigation, which was a real plus that this new homeowner asked to have drip irrigation put in when he moved in 3 years ago. And it hadn't been working well, so we got in there, we dug it up, we found it, and we've repaired any issues with it. And so now he has a fully working drip irrigation system for all of these new plants. We added new mulch. We put in a metal edging, which is really going to be nice to keep that mulch from rolling down the hill. We are on kind of an incline. And then we put in some new plants that are all tough, hardy plants. They can make it through drought. They can make it through the extreme heat and the extreme cold. One of the things that's a little disheartening when you put in a new garden is sometimes you get it all planted and it doesn't look so great because they're babies. And sometimes they get pretty stressed out during the move from the nursery to the garden. And so you might feel like, oh my gosh, my garden isn't looking great. It's not as lush as I imagined in my head. But that's okay. You just have to trust the process that in a month, this will look really good and you'll feel good about what you put in. But I'm going to get up closer and show you that it's not doing really well right this minute. Getting a little closer, I was just going to show you these hollies were here. They are 3 years old. They were put in when the homeowner first bought the house. and they've grown really nicely. They're about 3 feet tall. This holly was over here, and it just wasn't in the right position. So we decided to take a chance and move it. So we dug it up and we made a nice new hole here. He had a rock rose that was right here on the edge of the sidewalk, and it was, leaning over into the sidewalk area. And so we decided it needed more space. So we put the rock rose here, and then we added some new things. We added 3 lantana. So 1, 2, 3. Now these lantana are a little shocked. They're in stress, and the root system is fine, but they do not look so great right now. This is a verbena, and it is a Texas native. I got this off of the HEB table in the native section, and so this guy's going to do great. This is a skullcap. This is the purple skullcap, and this stays low. And there is the sad lantana, another verbena, and it's still hanging on to its purple flowers, and another skullcap. So I think that in a couple of months, this is just going to be very lush and full, and we'll have the tall plants in back. The lantana will be about a medium size, and then these, the verbena and the skullcap, will be low, and they can keep them trimmed up the way they like, but it will look beautiful very soon. And the homeowner is very pleased with the nice, neat look that it has now. It's tough. Everything in here is going to make it in the heat as long as they keep it well watered. Very important the first year that you keep them well watered, not over watered, because you don't want to have the roots rot, but you just want to water every time you notice that they are getting a bit dry. And these Texas natives will do just fine. Now the Nellie Stevens holly is not a Texas native, but they are one of the toughest plants, and they are ones that pull through during our ice storms. So I highly recommend those Nellie Stevens hollies. Well, thank you so much for watching today, and I will give you an update on this new garden in a few months, and we'll see how things look in a while once they all get a chance to get established. But this is the perfect time to transplant things or plant new things. The weather is fairly cool. We are starting to heat up again, but it is the right time to plant things. So get out in your gardens, get out to the nurseries, find some good native and adapted plants, and start planting. This is the time to spruce up your garden. Alrighty, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.